Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna
Shall we get started?
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare.
Hari Om. Let's get started. Hari Om. We'll start with invocation prayers.
सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावतीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। गीता ज्ञानम्। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणी भगवती अष्टादशाध्यायिनी अम्ब त्वामनुसन्धधामि भगवते भवद्वेषिणी नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्रा येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवैत्रेयकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दुग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्सः दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। भीष्मद्रोणतडा जयद्रथजला गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोतीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरननदी कैवर्तककेशवः पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलं गीतार्थगण्डोत्कटं नानाज्ञानगकेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितं लोके सज्जनसत्परैरहरहः पीपीयमानं मुदा भूयात् भारतपङ्कजं कलिमल प्रध्वंसि न श्रेयसे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयति गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदेर्गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न
Sura
शिवाय तस्मै नमः शिवाय तस्मै नमः शिवाय तस्मै नमः
Hari Om. We'll get started. Just to make you familiar, today also I have with me Shurveer ji and Nautiyal ji. They are here with me. So Hari Om, we'll get started with chapter 6. Today slightly longer, so I hope to finish well in time. So Bhagwan Sri Krishna, he gave the result of meditation after explaining the process and benefits and so on and so forth. He gave the result of meditation as reaching the destination of Sukham Uttamam or supreme bliss. And this state is reached by attaining a mind that is peaceful and fully sattvic in nature. And that is referred to as Prashanta Manasam. And how does that come about? That comes about by ending the Rajasic tendencies, Shanta Rajasam, and by being bereft of the Tamasic tendencies, Akalmasham. And Bhagavan says that this yogi then attains infinite bliss, Atyantam Sukham. And that arises out of close contact with Brahman. Brahma Samsparsham. This then enables the yogi to see, ikshate, to see the self, Atmanam, abiding in all beings, Sarva Bhutastam. Sarva Bhutastam, abiding in all beings. What abides in all beings? The Atmanam, the self. And all beings, Sarva Bhutani abide in the self, Atmani. Thereby having an equal view. This enables this yogi to have a equal view about everything. Sarvatra, about everything. Sarvatra Samadarshanaha. And through this view, this Yoga Yuktatma, Bhagavan says, Mam Pashyati Sarvatra, sees me everywhere. And Sarvam Cha Mai Pashyati, and sees everything in me. And finally, Bhagavan says that this yogi, Sayogi, Sarvatha Vartamanaha, whatever may be his state in his life, however he may exist, remaining in any state whatsoever, whether it is sex, age, nationality, any action that the person may be doing, performing, whatever it may be, Mai Vartate, abides in me. To get to this stage, a person needs to have a direct, crystal clear, like crystal, crystal clear appreciation of one's own nature. And Bhagavan has systematically explained and taught us how to get here through the process of karma, converting karma to karma yoga, then dropping karma yoga to reach a state of Atma Samyama through Dhyana yoga. The person who reaches this state is said to have Shakshatkara. Shakshatkara means direct experience. The inferences and intellectual opinions of this person are dropped and are replaced by direct experiential wisdom. Moving forward from this state, there are two important aspects that emerge as priority for this yogi. In Sanskrit, it is called pradhana. What is most mukhyatva, pradhana? This yoga yuktatma then has to focus even more. Not that the yoga yuktatma has not focused on this till now. Actually, to reach that state of Tattvajnani, these two aspects are important. But now they become even more important. And these two are Vasanakshaya, which means destruction of all inherent tendencies, and Manonasha, which means eliminating the flow of thoughts. We saw that thoughts get together to form the mind. That is why Manonasha. Through both these aspects, the yogi then solidifies the Tattva Jnana and the direct experience of the ultimate truth. One has to work on a much deeper level of the vasanas, of the tendencies. These are tendencies that just surface out of their own accord. We have no control over them. They are inherent, they are inbuilt, they are genetically coded, and so on and so forth. And these express themselves out of their own wish. We don't even know sometimes that these expressions are manifesting through our own body, mind, and intellect. They just burst out. They just come out. And sometimes these are triggered by external circumstances. Sometimes these are just coming out from inside. And this Yoga Yuktatma has to get a deeper focus onto these aspects. And because of that Tattva Jnana, because of that knowledge of the self, this person has the enhanced power to be able to control these two elements much more successfully. And when this happens, this Yoga Yuktatma leads or becomes a Jivan Mukta. This leads to Jivan Mukti. Jivan Mukti means liberated while living. Jivan Eva Mukti. And Sri Krishna says, Sa Yogi Paramo Mataha. This yogi is regarded as supreme. Arjuna, after all this, Arjuna actually almost steals our thoughts and asks his question, or rather expresses his misgivings. He says, Bhagavan, I do not see, I am not able to conceive the persistent and steady existence of this yoga as you have explained so well. Sthitam sthiram. And I consider it difficult to control the mind, because by nature this mind is chanchalam, it is so restless. And not only is it chanchalam, it is pramati. Pramati means turbulent, like a storm, like a powerful agitating force. It is balavad, extremely strong. As if, if it gets hold of something, why as if? If it gets hold of something, then it will not leave it. And it is dridam, because of the strong influence of the inherent tendencies of the vasanas. It is dridam. And he says, with all of this, I just don't see this yoga, Atma Samyama Yoga, Dhyana Yoga. I don't see that happening consistently and steadily. Don't we all face that, in our lives? So Sri Krishna now answers Arjuna. And he actually begins by saying, of course you are right, Arjuna. And possibly with a slight hint of taunt. We will go to verse 35. Sri Bhagavanu Vacha. Sri Bhagavanu Vacha.
Asamshayam Mahabaho.
Asamshayam Mahabaho.
Manodurnigraham Chalam.
Manodurnigraham Chalam.
Abhyasena tu Kaunteya.
Abhyasena tu Kaunteya.
Vairagyena cha grihyate.
Vairagyena cha grihyate.
Sri Bhagavanu Vacha Asamshayam Mahabaho Manodurnigraham Chalam Abhyasena tu Kaunteya Vairagyena cha grihyate.
So Bhagavan says, hey Mahabaho, strong-armed, mighty warrior. It's almost, that's why I said, as if slightly tauntingly, seemingly tauntingly, telling Arjuna, why don't you show your might here? Why are you saying that, this is not possible? Asam Shayam. Without a doubt, Mano, the mind, Durnigraham Chalam. It is difficult to control and is restless. So he starts with agreeing with Arjuna. And then he says, but, a very important usage of but here. Tu Kaunteya, but son of Kunti. He is balancing out the Mahabaho with addressing Arjuna as son of Kunti, which is a term of endearment for Arjuna. What you say is true, O son of Kunti. But so what, I mean, there are number of means and methods, techniques, sometimes secrets to accomplish the most difficult or impossible of tasks. A simple example, for us to lift a car, a vehicle, or a truck is extremely difficult, humanly impossible to lift it, to fix a flat tire. But you fix a jack underneath it and you rotate it, and very effortlessly the vehicle moves up to the level required. So there are means. It is not easy all the time to just force it. Even with the mind, you can't just say, stop, do what I want. You can't dictate. Hatha nigraha is not possible. But krama nigraha, slowly and steadily, like Bhagavan explained earlier, that is definitely possible in steps. And what are the means to master the mind that Bhagavan is telling Arjuna now? He says, but Arjuna, but Kaunteya, it is definitely possible by what? Abhyasena vairagyena grahyate. Abhyasena, through practice. Vairagyena, through dispassion. Grahyate. The mind is restrained. Practice gives perfection and dispassion gives the capacity. Dispassion is what? Remember, passion is the very involved, emotionally attached view of anything in the world, especially what is not permanent, what is temporary, the fleeting, the temporary aspects, the ephemeral aspects. The tendency of human beings is to get attached to the ephemeral stuff. Dispassion is the capability to not get attached to what is temporary and seek out what is nitya, what is permanent. And this gives capacity. And holding both of them as wings, Bhagavan says or implies, soar high in meditation. Now, putting in effort in itself is a scientific art, if I may use that term. How should one put in effort? There are a few steps. The first is anukula. Anukula means favorable. Put in effort that will result in will have a favorable result. Optimal, favorable result. Meaning, be smart in putting effort. Because smart effort will lead to favorable result. The second aspect is dirgha kala. Dirgha kala means for a long time. Effort for a short period of time is not going to yield results. One has to put in effort for a sustained period of time. Malcolm Gladwell, he wrote a book called Outliers. In that he says that to attain any degree of expertise in any field, and he gives multitude of examples. He says that 10,000 hours of practice is required. The third element is Nairantarya. Nairantarya means without disruption, without breakage. If there is disruption, then one has to start all over again. Then Satkara. Satkara means with lots of love. The love for this effort. Not to get confused. Like we say mumukshutva, right? The desire for the permanent. Then asevita. Asevita means cherishing. Cherishing the work, the effort that is being put. And finally, dridabhumi. Get it well established, entrenched. For example, one of the examples that we have quoted very often, to get up early in the morning. If one has to lose weight, one has to get up early in the morning and exercise. To get up early in the morning is extremely difficult. Almost next to impossible sometimes when you're not used to that 1 hour, half an hour, you'll be like, no, let me sleep for a little more time. But once that effort is put in, once it gets established, then that becomes the norm. Then sleeping after that becomes difficult. So get it to the state of dridabhumi. So this is how, if we put in that kind of right effort, that consists of what? Practice and vairagya. Abhyasa and vairagya. Practice and dispassion. To give you an example or a story that I have personally witnessed, cricket sponsorship is a big deal in India. Okay, in the initial days, the Pepsi Cola and Coca-Cola battle in India, the competition to sponsor cricket was severe. The 1996 World Cup was being held in the subcontinent. Most of the matches were held in India of the Cricket World Cup, right? That's the Wills Cricket World Cup. So Wills was the cup sponsor. But what happened was Coca-Cola won the sponsorship rights for the official soft drink. So that's a big deal. And for Pepsi, it's a body blow. It's a disaster. Because losing sponsorship rights to a competitor like this means, you'll probably end up with severe losses in that season. Not only in that season, way beyond too. So this is what had happened. Pepsi lost. Earlier, Pepsi was the sponsor and lost it to Coca-Cola. And the midnight lamps were burning, especially in the office of, Vibha Rishi was a colleague of mine, and, introspection going on, brainstorming going on. What do we do now? How do we respond? The operational people, the marketing people, all of them. And there was also this lady who is, I think she's she was a television actress, Mini Mathur, right? She used to work for the agency, HTA, I think it was HTA. But this kind of effort that I just described, right? Favorable effort that would lead to optimal result. Okay, Anukula. Dirgha Kala, continuously putting in that effort, built upon, historic hard work, without any disruption, having that interest and that love for what we are doing, all of that, what happened? The right effort with lots of love, cherishing the work that is going on, the hard work behind it, led to a brilliant marketing campaign. And there was dispassion too, by the way, because we had already lost the sponsorship rights to Coke. That had already happened. So what was there to lose? Since there was nothing to lose, okay, resultant dispassion, not the dispassion of a yoga yuktatma, the dispassion of a material striver. Remember, we said the one who strives and succeeds in the material world is capable of doing well in the spiritual pursuit also. So not the dispassion of the yoga yuktatma, dispassion of a person who had lost anyway, there was nothing more to lose. Then came about this campaign called Nothing Official About It, AHA. It just took the carpet from under Coke's feet. While Coke had a mundane advertising about, we are the official sponsors, Pepsi came out with this brilliant campaign and then roped in almost all the World Cup players were roped in for this humongous amount of advertising. So even though there was a lot of advertising, a lot of these players were roped in, the cost spent was much lower because the sponsorship rights cost is much, 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 much higher. And with a much lower cost, after having lost the battle of bidding, the war of bidding rather, Pepsi took away this. Nothing official about it became an anthem. It just completely became the World Cup, not only the World Cup anthem, it stayed after the World Cup also. So Pepsi had turned its defeat into a victory, into an advantage. Through what? Through the effort and through dispassion. So Bhagavan also says that. It's possible, Arjuna, O son of Kunti, it is possible. And the two key elements to make it possible are practice, abhyasa, and vairagya, dispassion. These are the two key elements. And then he continues with his answer in verse 36. Asamyatatmana yogaha
Dushprapa iti me matihi.
Dushprapa iti me matihi.
Vashyatmana tu yatata.
Vashyatmana tu yatata.
Shakyo vaptumupayataha.
Shakyo vaptumupayataha.
Asamyatatmana yogaha. Dushprapa iti me matihi. Vashyatmana tu yatata. शक्यो वाप्तुमुपायतः
Asamyatatmana, one who does not control the mind, meaning one who has not put in the right kind of effort, one who has not practiced enough, and one who is not dispassionate enough. For such a person, Bhagavan says, Yogaha dushprapa. Yogaha dushprapa means yoga is difficult to attain, and in some cases, even impossible to attain. Iti me matihi. Thus, it is thus actually, or this in this context, is my opinion. And then he continues, but to Vashyatmana, one who has controlled the mind, Yatata, one who strives, meaning what? One who has controlled the mind through striving, through putting in this effort, through Abhyasa and Vairagya. For such a person, Bhagavan says, Shakyaha means it is possible. What is possible? Avaptum upayataha. Upayataha. Upayataha means upaya, by proper means. Using proper means, it is avaptum. You can obtain. So put the means in place, the result comes. The person of self-control, the man of self-control does not allow mentation of any kind. By the right means, she applies herself steadily to practice and non-attachment. And through these two is able to, get or to do just the work, focus on the work without worrying about getting the result. Sri Ramakrishna has famously said, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, he said, and I quote, in those days when I took to spiritual practices, I would first cleanse my mind of all earthly thoughts, make it as pure as purity itself, and then invoke the presence of God in it. May you also do the same, unquote. That's why Ramakrishna Paramahamsa is known to, just go into various states of delirium when he is deep in meditation. Sometimes he will start speaking something which nobody will understand. Sometimes he will start reciting some deep-rooted, deep meaning, shlokas, statements, make some pronunciations. He used to get into amazing amount of, depth in his meditation. That probably was possible because he was successfully able to remove all the quote-unquote, like he says, earthly thoughts. Now, Arjuna asks a very intelligent and interesting question. We will see what it is. Arjuna uvacha
Ayati shraddhayopetaha
Ayati shraddhayopetaha
Yogachalitamanasah
Yogachalitamanasah
Aprapya yoga samsiddhim
Aprapya yoga samsiddhim
Kam gatim Krishna gacchati
Kam gatim Krishna gacchati.
Arjuna uvacha Ayati shraddhayopetaha Yogachalitamanasah Aprapya yoga samsiddhim Kam gatim Krishna gacchati.
Ayati, Arjuna says Ayati. Ayati means uncontrolled, referring to whose mind is uncontrolled. Why? Because the person has not been able to put sufficient efforts. And he says, Shraddhaya upetaha. This person is possessed with Shraddha. And Shraddha is what? Shraddha is faith. Shraddha is dedication. Shraddha here is representative of all the qualities required for a sadhaka. Remember, we studied what the qualities required for a sadhaka are, the sadhana chatushtayam. If Shraddha is there, the other qualities can be developed. Viveka, Vairagya, Shama, Dama, Uparama, Titiksha, Samadhana, Shraddha Samadhana it comes. Samadhana and Mumukshutva. Hence, when Bhagavan uses the term Shraddha here, it implies all the other qualities also. And Arjuna says, Chalita Manasaha, whose mind has wandered away. The person has Shraddha, the person has all the qualities required for a sadhaka, but the mind has wandered away, it is uncontrolled. Despite having these qualities. Why could it be? Because of, quote unquote, those inherent tendencies, the vasanas, it is possible. Because there may be some blocks. We have heard about so many spiritual or religious, rather ritualistic leaders or propagators trying to say that we can remove this block and so on and so forth. Even science, some of the psychological sciences talk about removing blocks. So there could be a block, there could be inherent tendencies, whatever the reason. The ultimate reason that this person, with dedication, with faith, with the other qualities, has been going through that process, and the life of this person cut short, loses life. That is also a possible reason. See, Bhagavan had said earlier, keep doing it. Shanaihi shanai uparamed. Slowly and steadily attain quietude. What if slowly and steadily I'm gone? Then what? And Arjuna is in the battlefield, remember? Huh? So he is staring at death. As it is, he is scared. And he is staring at death. So he says, what if, my life itself is cut short? Is the implication of this question. For whatever reason, the person is not able to complete the effort, the right effort, through practice and through vairagya, dispassion. Such a person, Arjuna asks, aprapya, not having attained yoga samsiddhim, perfection in yoga, success in this yoga of meditation. Kam gatim, what kind of end gacchati Krishna? What kind of end does he meet, O Krishna? And Arjuna continues explaining his doubts further. Kachinno bhaya vibhrashtaha
Chinnabhramiva nashyati
Chinnabhramiva nashyati
Apratishto mahabaho
Apratishto mahabaho
Vimudho brahmanapati
Vimudho brahmanapati
Kachinno bhaya viprashtaha Chinnabhramiva nashyati Apratishto mahabaho Vimudho brahmanapati.
Vimudho brahmanapati. One who is on the path to Brahman, but is Vimudaha. Vimudaha actually means deluded. In this context, Vimudaha means unrealized. In the path to Brahman, unrealized. Not yet realized. Pati means in the path. Vimuda, not yet realized. Pati in the path. Brahma to Brahman. And Arjuna says, Kachita, is it so? Is it that Ubhaya Vibhrashtaha has fallen from both? Look at Arjuna's fear here, and very, very meaningful, by the way. So Arjuna is saying that this person has not reached fulfillment in the spiritual path through meditation. And he has also moved away from Karma Yoga, because Bhagavan only said no, that now to get into this, drop Karma Yoga. Sannyasa of Karma Yoga. Right? So he has dropped Karma Yoga and he has not attained fulfillment here. So what happens? Both sides. So Ubhaya Vibhrishtaha. Ubhaya means both. Vibhrishtaha, fallen. There is another interpretation to this. And that interpretation is that this person has fallen from both the spiritual as well as the material paths. See, the world or samsara offers a lot of material path. And constantly Bhagavan says, do all your karma, but think about Ishwararpana Buddhi, Prasada Buddhi. Don't do it for enjoyment, your own enjoyment. Give up your enjoyment. All that. So all that he has given up to come to this level. So all the gains that you get from the samsara in this planet Earth, all the material enjoyments the bhoga, all that he has given up. And now he is not getting this completion of this also. So in the earth, which is here, I gave up because Bhagavan, you only taught me this path. And now, because hereafter also, because I have not completed. So I am not going to gain beyond this earth. So then Arjuna says, he gives a beautiful example. Chinna Brahm. Chinnam means broken. Abram means cloud. Like a broken piece of cloud, a whiff of that broken cloud that dissolves. And he says, apratishtaha, without support, neither here nor there. Left high and dry. Nashyati, perishes. And Arjuna continuing, as always, Arjuna always does this to Bhagavan. He says, please tell me properly, decisively, conclusively. Please give me a decisive solution. That he says in the next verse.
Etam me samshayam Krishna.
Etam me samshayam Krishna.
Chetumarhasya sheshataha.
Chetumarhasya sheshataha.
Twadhanya samshayasyasya.
Vadanyas samshayasyasya.
Chetana hyupapadyate.
Chetana hyupapadyate.
Etanme samshayam Krishna. Chetumarhasya sheshataha. Twadanya samshayasyasya. Chetana hyupapadyate.
Etam means this. This what? Samshayan. Samshayan, this doubt. Etam me samshayan. This doubt of mine. O Krishna, he says, you ought to, arhasi, you are the one, you ought to, chetum asheshataha, dispel completely. Completely dispel this doubt of mine. And then he says, why? Why is he asking Bhagavan to do that? Because he says, other than you. Tvadanyaha, other than you. Anyaha, other. Tvad, you. Than you. Other than you, he says, there is nobody. Na hyupadyate. There is surely no one who is fit. Upadyate means who is fit. Fit for what? Fit for dispelling. Cheta, dispelling. Dispelling shamshaya, this doubt of mine. So this doubt of mine, O Krishna, you ought to dispel completely, because other than you, no one surely is fit enough as a dispeller of doubt. So he tells Bhagavan Sri Krishna directly, no one else is fit enough. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa said, and I quote, who is whose guru? Talking, I mean, everybody was telling him and, putting him on a pedestal like a guru. He said, who is whose guru? None but Ishvara alone can play the role of a guru. He is the sun of knowledge that drives away the darkness of ignorance accumulated through the ages. Unquote. So let's see what Bhagavan has to say to this awesome doubt of Arjuna. Sri Bhagavanuvacha
Parthanaiveha namutra
Parthanaiveha namutra
Vinashastasya vidyate
Vinashastasya vidyate
Nahi kalyana krit kaschid
Nahi kalyana krit kaschid
Durgatim tata gacchati.
Durgatim tata gacchati.
Shri Bhagavanuvacha Parthanaiveha namutra Vinashastasya vidyate Nahi kalyana krit kaschid Durgatim tata gacchati.
Naiveha, not surely here. Right? Parth had asked that question, right? That I'm left high and dry, neither here nor there. So Bhagavan says, Naiveha, not surely here. Namutra, not in the other world also, not in the next world also. Vinashaha tasya vidyate. There is there, vidyate, there is. any destruction, vinashaha tasya, for this person. So, O Partha, neither in this world nor in the next world is there any destruction for this person. And he says, Kalyana Krita, anyone, nahi, not surely this person who is done good. Anyone, kaschid, anyone who has done Kalyana Krita, who does good, for that person, this person does not go to, Gachati, does not go to Durgatim, bad state or grief. And he addresses Partha, Arjuna as Tata. Tata means son, my son. Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda said, and I quote, the present is a product of the past. And he says, thought by thought, action by action, knowledge by knowledge, each one of us, we create in our present the blueprint for our own future. Unquote. So we Hindus, believe in previous lives as well as future births for all embodied souls. This is the theory of reincarnation. And based upon this principle, Bhagavan Sri Krishna states that no seeker is ever lost, although he may slip and fall, even end the present incarnation. This is the philosophy of optimism with which Sanatana Dharma or Hinduism views life. It's an amazing principle. There is no punishment after death. There is nothing that you have to be scared of, because every embodied soul has a growth path through the spiritual roadmap for ultimate realization. And it's an optimistic path. A lot of us, even I in the past, have struggled with this concept. Who knows, who cares, or who knows about next life, right? Who believes? But if we look at it from this lens, it is extremely meaningful also. This sense of optimism, the sense of that there is, and by the way, there is also some scientific, if not proof, there is also scientific, inclinations or scientific aspects that have been shown by scientists that kind of say that there are multiple universes and multiple lives and continuation of life and so on and so forth. But anyway, coming to this, through the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Sri Krishna gives his celestial message of hope to humankind. Through the second line of this verse, when he says, Nahi Kalyana Krita Kaschid, Durgatim Tata Gachati. To the doer of good, oh my son, he addresses Arjuna as my son. The doer of good never comes to grief. In the Upanishads, the Guru often addresses the student, the Sishya, as his son or her son. Here, though Arjuna is of the same age as Krishna, they have been friends. Sri Krishna, with fatherly love, the avatar Sri Krishna, remember, the man of wisdom, that Sri Krishna, he assures Arjuna that no one who is striving in the direction of evolution shall ever come to suffer a fall. Again, to quote Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda, he said, quote, and I quote, on the ladder of spiritual growth, each step that is placed forward is an ascent towards perfection, unquote. So this is a beautiful message of hope that Hinduism has, for so many ages dwelt with. And that is what Bhagavan Sri Krishna uses here. So what is the difference between a sadhaka, a seeker, whose mind has wandered because of some reason, whatever reason, we talked about all of that, okay? And the one who is steadfast, fully dispassionate, till the end of his or her life. So for some reason, the seeker has done certain things, but the mind wanders away. The other person did not allow the mind to wander. The life was cut short. What is the difference between the two of them? In the next two verses, Bhagavan one by one takes up both these types of seekers. First, the seeker who has not attained perfection in Vairagya.
प्राप्य पुण्यकृतां
Prapya punyakritam
लोकान्
lokan
उषित्वा शाश्वती समाः
ushitva shashvati samaha
शुचीनां श्रीमतां गेहे
शुचीनां श्रीमतां गेहे
योगभ्रष्टोऽभिजायते
योगभ्रष्टोऽभिजायते
प्राप्य पुण्यकृतां लोकान् उषित्वा शाश्वती समाः शुचीनां श्रीमतां गेहे योगभ्रष्टोऽभिजायते
Yoga brashtaha means one who has fallen short on yoga. What about that person? Prapya reaches or attains lokan, the world, or the worlds. Lokan is plural, the worlds. The worlds of what? Punya kritam, the worlds of the righteous. And ushitva, having lived there, shashvatah, for eternal number of samaha, years. Having lived there for eternal number of years, he says, gehe, comes back. So, or rather, bijayate. Bijayate is born again. Gehe, in the house of Shuchinam Srimatam. Shuchinam means of the pure. Srimatam means of the wealthy or the prosperous. So one who has fallen short of yoga attains the worlds reached by the righteous, and having lived there for a number of years, eternal years, is born again in the house of the wealthy and the pure. So the worlds of righteous here refers to the higher worlds or the heavens, lokas that are higher than the bhuloka. The universe is said to be billions of years old. This is acknowledged by science and as well as by the Hindu cosmology. We have seen this in detail. If you recollect, chapter 4 beginning, we talked about all of this. In the last few decades, modern science has also acknowledged or stipulating the existence of other universes. However, Sanatana Dharma has described in graphic detail other lokas that are both above the bhuloka and below the bhuloka. For the current context, to stick to our current context of this verse, Punya Kritam Lokan, the lokas that are above the bhuloka. So let's just quickly look at what these are. The Pitru Loka or the Bhuvaha is attained by performance of karma. Then we have Suvaha or the Suvaloka, that is attained by performance of ritualistic actions, various yagyas. Some accounts, some rishis, some people say that Mount Meru is the location of this loka. Mount Meru is a philosophical mountain. Then comes Mahaha or Mahaloka. That is the abode of seekers who have performed upasana for long periods of time, and tapas. Janaloka or Janaha is occupied by realized beings. One reaches this loka by attaining Savikalpa Samadhi. And Tapaloka or Tapaha is inhabited by beings who are said to be immortal. Once you reach the state of Nirvikalpa Samadhi, you are eligible to get into this loka, it is said. And finally, Satya Loka or Brahma Loka is where Lord Brahma dwells. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Sri Krishna refers to lokas. He doesn't cover them exhaustively. He refers to lokas, especially the three lokas. We'll come to that later in chapter 8, 9, 11 and 15, in addition to just now in this chapter. In fact, I will request and encourage you to revisit chapter 4 beginning. When we started, we had talked about the concept of time and creation, as per Sanatana Dharma, as per Hindu cosmology. We had covered that in reasonable detail. Here Bhagavan says that the seeker who has not attained perfection, through Abhyasa and Vairagya, lives in these lokas for eternal years, and then is born again in the house of the prosperous and the pure. And for the one who has completed the Abhyasa and the Vairagya, what about that person? He covers that in the next verse. Athava yoginameva
bhavati dhimatam
kule bhavati dhimatam
etadhi durlabhataram
etadhi durlabhataram
loke janma yadidrisham
loke janma yadidrisham
अथवा योगिनामेव ये भवति धीमताम् एतदि दुर्लभतरम् लोके जन्म यदीदृशम्.
Athava means the other with reference to the one who has not been able to complete the effort. So which means the one who has completed the effort but has not attained because life has been cut short. So that other person, that other yogi, what happens to that person? Bhavati is born. Kule, in the kula, in the family. Dhimatam, of the wise. And even yoginam, of the yogis. Born in the families, the person, other person who has complete vairagya, who has put in the entire effort in the right manner through practice and dispassion. That person is born in the family of the wise and even in the family of yogis. Yogi is the yoga yuktatma, who has already achieved that yogi. And Bhagavan says, this birth surely is very difficult now in the world like this, for a person in a world like this. Now it is Kali Yuga also, so it's even more difficult. So etad, this, surely, he says, durlabhataram, very difficult, indeed very difficult, in a world like this, yadidrisham. So by virtue of such a noble birth, the person in her new janma, in her new embodiment, gets a very high degree of spiritual exposure, extremely early, very early in life. And after reaching such a conducive and helpful environment, what happens to the spiritual pursuit of this yoga bhrashtatma? See, yoga bhrashtatma here is different from yoga yuktatma. Yoga yuktatma is one who has fully united with yoga. Yoga bhrashtatma is one whose union with yoga has been interrupted. So what is the spiritual path forward for this person? We will see that in the next two verses. We will recite the two verses together and go through them. Tatratam buddhi samyogam
labhate paurvadehikam
labhate paurvadehikam
yatate cha tato bhuyaha
yatate cha tato bhuyaha
samsiddhau kuru nandana
samsiddhau kuru nandana
purvabhyasena tenaiva
purvabhyasena tenaiva
hriyate hyavashopi saha
hriyate hyavashopi saha
jigyasurapi yogasya
jigyasurapi yogasya
shabda brahmati vartate
shabda brahmati vartate
tatra tam buddhi samyogam labhate paurvadehikam yatate cha tato bhuyaha samsiddhau kuru nandana purvabhyasena tenaiva hriyate hyavashopi saha jignasurapi yogasya shabda brahmati vartate.
So what are we saying here? Now, what about the person who is a yoga bhrashta, who is a sadhaka, who is a seeker, who is going on the right path, but whose journey has been interrupted, has not been able to fully unite with yoga? This person, after getting this benefit of the birth, either in the house of the pure and prosperous or actually in the house of the yogi, what is the spiritual path of this person? So Bhagavan says that tatra, therein, tatra tam, therein, this tam means this person, this yogi, labhate buddhi samyogam, comes to be connected with the knowledge, purva dehikam, which was acquired in the former body. Purva dehi, former body. The knowledge that was acquired in the former body, this person connects with that knowledge. And then Bhagavan says, yatate, strives, bhuyaha, tato, more than that, strives even harder. For what? For samsiddhau, for perfection, for attaining what got missed out. And he says, O Kurunandana. Kurunandana means the Nandana of the Kurus, the delight of the Kurus. So like we see child prodigies, right, in various fields. Similarly, there are spiritual prodigies. So these child prodigies or young child spiritual prodigies, they seemingly have come into this world with skills or talent that they didn't learn here. There's no evidence. There is evidence of their not having learned it here. Then how did they get it? From where did they get it? Even the other extreme also is true. Huh? Somebody gets born without a hand or a leg. Why should that happen? Anyway, we'll not dwell into that right now in this context. So this person who is the yoga brashta, one who has followed the path but who has not attained, that person, by virtue of being born, gets access to the knowledge that was there in the previous life, like we have seen in various child prodigies. The favorable environment draws out latent yoga elements, what this person has gone through in the previous life. Inborn tendencies are catalyzed in the helpful environment or by the helpful environment. And that leads this person rapidly towards her ideal. Swami Vivekananda and his guru Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa were perfect yogis born for the salvation of humanity. While Swami Vivekananda was born in the house of the pure and the prosperous, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was born in the house of a wise yogi. Very apt. And Bhagavan is using the term Kurunandana here, seemingly telling Arjuna that, oh Arjuna, you are also born in such a family of the pure and prosperous. And Bhagavan continues. He says that surely by that former practice, that interrupted practice, Purva Abhyasena, the former practice, by that, Tenavya, what happens by that? Kriyate, born with this kind of a practice, this person, Hyava Shopi Saha, is indeed helpless. Helpless for what? In spite of herself, in spite of himself, without being able to help it, even as this person is Jigyasurapi, even if there is a minimal curiosity towards yogasya, towards yoga, even then this person who is even just merely curious to know yoga, but because of this benefit of previous practice, and sometimes this person is, forget about being curious about yoga, is also a, what is the word I'm looking for? It's a skeptic, argues, rebels, but in the previous birth has gone through that practice. This person, Hyavashaha, without even being able to help oneself, in spite of oneself, this person goes beyond. Bhagavan says goes beyond. Goes beyond ativartate, and goes beyond what? Shabda Brahman. Shabda Brahman. Shabda. Shabda is word. Brahman is Brahma. Brahma also, remember, we have talked about it earlier. Brahman also refers to Vedas, the vast Vedas. So Shabda Brahman is nothing but the Vedas. So this person is able to even go beyond the Vedas, comes with that knowledge to this planet. To this person, spiritual progress happens naturally. So let's look at this unbelievable, beautiful story of Narendranath. Okay, Narendranath was born into an aristocratic Bengali family of Calcutta and was spiritually inclined from a very young age. He would automatically get into deep meditation as a young boy. And he was known for his prodigious memory. And the principal of his school actually called him a young genius. Brilliant student, who would max everything, tried a lot of things. And one of the things that he used to do, he was curious. Okay, like Bhagavan says, curious, jigyasa. So he would ask people, prominent people in Calcutta where he lived, he says, have you ever come face to face with God? He'll keep asking people that. It was Sri, not his guru at that time, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, who Narendra felt answered his question by the statement. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa told him when he asked him that question, have you come face to face with God? He said, yes, I see him as I see you, only in an infinitely intenser sense. And Narendra found himself magnetically drawn towards Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. That said, he also intellectually was against whatever Ramakrishna Paramahamsa said, all his ideas. In fact, he used to call Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's those ecstasies that we talked about, the visions that he used to get, he used to call them hallucinations. Very aggressive, rebellious. Then one day, in his life, his father passed away. Okay, like we said earlier, he was born to a pure and prosperous. When his father passed away, it was discovered that there was a lot of debt. And the family that was probably one of the richest became probably one of the poorest. And Narendra asked Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, you, O Guru, you seem to know so much. Can you pray for my family to get away through all these, we have never experienced this kind of life. So please do something, pray for us. He still didn't believe that he could do something. He said, pray for us. Pray for us so that we get beyond these troubles, these material troubles. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa told him, Narendra told him, you please pray to Mahakali. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa said, this is the temple of Mahakali, please go there and pray. So you go and pray yourself. So Narendra went. And he went again, then he went again, then he went again and again and again repeatedly, with the intent to pray for material benefit for his family, material prosperity, re-emergence of material prosperity for his family. And he found that each time he went there, each and every time he went there, involuntarily, he prayed for true knowledge and devotion. He just could never bring himself to pray for material prosperity. And this then had that effect, and he gradually renounced everything and accepted Ramakrishna Paramahamsa as his guru. This Narendra or Swami Vivekananda, amazing life story of his. What Bhagavan says clearly depicts his story. He attains Mahasamadhi at the age of 39. Some reason there must be for his life to get. He made his mark everywhere. He made his mark in the field of spirituality, in the field of politics, in the field of business, everywhere. Swami Vivekanandaji's story is a fantastic depiction of what Bhagavan says. Hyavashopi saha shrabda brahmati vartate. In spite of oneself, goes beyond the vast Vedas. And Bhagavan continues. प्रयत्नाद्यतमानस्तु
योगी संशुद्ध किल्बिषः
योगी संशुद्ध किल्बिषः
अनेक जन्म संसिद्धः
अनेक जन्म संसिद्धः
ततो याति परां गतिम्
ततो याति परां गतिम्
प्रयत्नाद्यतमानस्तु योगी संशुद्ध किल्बिषः अनेक जन्म संसिद्धः ततो याति परां गतिम्.
So Bhagavan now talks about the yogi who strives. So he says, but to the yogi, yatamanas prayatnad, striving assiduously, prayatnad, assiduously, great care, great perseverance. Prayatnad is not just effort. Prayatnad is effort with perseverance, effort with care. He says, samshuddha kilbishaha, purified of sins. And then, aneka janma samsiddha, perfected through many births. Probably that's why Swami Vivekananda attained Mahasamadhi at 39. Perfected through many births. Tato yati, then reaches param gatim, the supreme state. So imagine two soldiers in a war front, taken prisoners by the enemy, forced to do menial work. One of them reconciles to his situation, his captivity, and does the work. The other one does the work. He has to, because he is a prisoner. But while he is doing the work, earnestly and assiduously is planning or is looking at ways and means for escape, in the midst of doing all the work that the enemy has given. So people of the world are like the former prisoner, the one who is intent on making the best of earthly life. Whatever situation is there, let me make the best out of it. I may be a prisoner in the enemy camp. Okay, fine, let me make the best out of it. The latter is more like this yogi. Or the yogi is more like this second prisoner. You know, the second prisoner for whom every day in a prison camp is like a lifetime. Prison camp is not easy at all. Every day is like a lifetime. Someday I'll tell you the story if an appropriate scene comes. You know, one of my teachers in Commando Post told me, you will make a great prisoner of war. That's the certificate I got. You know, you will make a very good prisoner of war. So every day can be a lifetime. Who, while living in the world, assiduously strives and gains perfection. Thus, Bhagavan Sri Krishna completes his teaching of Dhyana Yoga. And now he, in the next verse, he encourages Arjuna to be a yogi. By what? By glorifying a yogi, he says, hey, yogi is so great, so be a yogi. And through Arjuna, he encourages all of us. We'll read the next verse. Tapasvibhyodiko yogi
Yanibhyopi matodikaha
Yanibhyopi matodhikaha
Karmibhyashchadiko yogi
Karmibhyashchadhiko yogi
Tasmad yogi bhavarjuna
Tasmad yogi bhavarjuna
Tapasibhyodiko yogi Jnanibhyopi matodikaha Karmibhyashchadiko yogi Tasmad yogi bhavarjuna.
So Bhagavan says that this yogi is superior. Superior to who? He says this yogi is adhika. Adhikaha means superior to tapasvibhyo or tapasvibhyaha. Superior to the ascetic. Then he says he is also thought to be superior to jnanibhyaha, the wise, the knowledgeable. Then he says he is also superior to the karmibhya, the one who is performing actions. And then he says, Tasmad yogi bhavarjuna. Therefore, O Arjuna, be a yogi. So tapasvis are those who practice severe physical self-denial. Tapas. Jnanis are those who read the scriptures vigorously. They cram it up, mug it up, try to learn, try to remember the declarations that are there in the Vedas. And some other Jnanis have gone a little further distance and have gained wisdom through direct experience. Aparoksha Jnana. Karmis are those who tread the path of action in the world. People who do what they have to do, act in the world. All these people are, very, very accomplished. Bhagavan says that this yogi, meaning the dhyana yogi, the meditator, who withdraws from samsara, who withdraws from the identifications of the body, mind and intellect. How does he withdraw? Through the process of nididhyasana, savikalpa samadhi, nirvikalpa samadhi. This yogi is superior to all others. Therefore, he says, O Arjuna, be a yogi. And he is telling us also. And with this verse, Bhagavan concludes the teaching pertaining to the nature of the self. The first 6 chapters deal with the nature of the self, and along with the nature of the self, deal with the secret of action and meditation. So the first section of the Bhagavad Gita, with this verse, Bhagavan completes. And now Bhagavan, in the last verse of this chapter, he plants the seed for the 7th chapter. We will read that verse. Yoginamapi sarvesham madgatenantaratmana
Shraddhavan bhajate
yo mam
Sameyuktatamo mataha Yoginamapi sarvesham Madgatenantaratmana Shraddhavan bhajate yo mam Sameyuktatamo mataha.
So Bhagavan has said earlier that all spiritual practitioners, compared to all of them, the yogi is supreme. Now he says, Yoginam, among the yogis, Sarvesham, among all the yogis who are supreme to everyone, every other practitioner, including the ones that Bhagavan talks about earlier in this chapter, verse 30 and 31, remember? He says, who see me everywhere and see everything in me. And I abide in this person, including all of them. Bhagavan says, Antaratmana, the one whose innermost self is Madgatena, is fixed in me. Madgatena Antaratmana, whose innermost self is fixed in me. And he says, Sayo Shraddhavan, one who Shraddhavan. Shraddhavan means utter devotion, infinite devotion. Bhajate mam, worships me. Mataha is considered yuktatamo, the most devote, by me. So Bhagavan says that this person who in his deepest of self, which is in his pure consciousness, has only me, is fixed in me, Madgatena. And with that fixation, with utter devotion, Shraddhavan, he worships me. That person is the most supreme, even among the yogis. So this verse links the first section of the Bhagavad Gita, which is the first 6 chapters, to the next section of the Bhagavad Gita, which essentially is what the next section deals with, the nature of the Lord, the nature of Bhagavan. The first section deals with the nature of the individual, the person, the human being, the creation. And this section deals with the nature of the Lord. And while dealing with the nature of the Lord, also touches upon the subject of devotion to the Lord. The first section touched upon the subject of karma, jnana, dhyana. This section will touch upon bhakti. Karma yoga and jnana yoga evolved into dhyana yoga, and now this will evolve into bhakti yoga. Hari Om, thank you. Om Tat Sat. Om Tat Saditi.
श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु
Srimad Bhagavad Gitasu Upanishadsu
ब्रह्मविद्यायां
Brahma Vidyayam
योगशास्त्रे
Yoga Shastre
श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे
Sri Krishna Arjuna Samvade
आत्मसंयमयोगो नाम
Atma Samyama Yogo Nama
षष्ठोऽध्यायः
Shashtodhyayaha or Dhyana Yogo Nama Shashtodhyayaha. So Samyama means control. Atma is mind. Yoga is means of abiding. Dhyana is meditation. The means of abiding in the Lord through control of the mind, or the means of abiding in the Lord through meditation. That is what we just completed. That is the chapter we completed. Now quickly, before we go further, after every chapter we do the sadhana. What are the learnings and what, see, Bhagavan talked about practice. So what are the things that we should practice, we should focus upon? So let's quickly revise all of them and see what is the sadhana for this chapter also. Chapter 1, the sadhana was watch. Watch means what? Mentally watch for shoka and moha and remove them. The sadhana for chapter 2 was maintain equipoise in extremities. Samatvam yoga uchyate. Chapter 3 sadhana was samachara. Bhagavan's favorite word, samachara. Perform actions with utmost devotion, dedication and perfection. The sadhana after chapter 4, karmanyat paschet. Not being the doer while doing, by seeing inaction in action. Practice that. Chapter 5, the sadhana was Padma Patram Ivam Bhasa. Just like a lotus petal is untouched by water, though while being in contact with water, be untouched by worldly experiences while being in contact with worldly experiences. And chapter 6, Mam Pashyati Sarvatra. See me everywhere. Sarvam cha mai pashyati. See everything in me. When do you do this? All the time, but also while meditating. Matpraha, matchitta, matpraha. Practice when in meditation. And we can also say that the sadhana for chapter 6 is please meditate. We all must meditate. Even if we do for 5 minutes, we must meditate. We may not be able to do, like I am not able to do sometimes for half an hour or 1 hour and all. Okay, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Have I meditated today can be another sadhana. Okay, let's do reciting the verses, Bhagavad Gita Arti and Purnada.
So chapter 6 verses 35 to 47. Shri Bhagavanuvasha asamshayam mahabhaho manodurnigraham chalam abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grishyati asamyatatmana yogaha dushprapa iti me mataha vashyatmana tu yatata shakyo vaptumupayataha. Arjuna uvacha ayati shraddhayopetaha yoga chalita manasaha aprapya yoga samsiddhim kamratim krishna gacchati kachinno bhaya vibrashta छिन्नाभ्रमिव नश्यति अप्रतिष्ठो महाबाहो विमूढो ब्रह्मणपति एतन्मे संशयं कृष्ण चेतुमर्हस्य शेषतः त्वदन्यः संशयस्यास्य चेता न ह्युपपद्यते श्रीभगवानुवाच पार्थ नैवेह नामुत्रा विनाशस्तस्य विद्यते न हि कल्याणकृत् कश्चित् दुर्गतिं तात गच्छति प्राप्य पुण्यकृतां लोकान् उषित्वा शाश्वती समाः शुचीनां श्रीमतां गेहे योगो भ्रष्टोऽभिजायते अथवा योगिनामेव कुले भवति धीमताम् एतद्धि दुर्लभतरं लोके जन्म यदीदृशं तत्र तं बुद्धिसंयोगं लभते पौर्वदेहिकं यतते च ततो भूयः संसिद्धौ कुरु नन्दन पूर्वाभ्यासेन तेनैव क्रियते ह्यवशोऽपि सः जिज्ञासुरपि योगस्य शब्दब्रह्मादि वर्तते प्रयत्नाद्यातमानस्तु योगी संशुद्धिकिल्बिषः अनेकजन्म संसिद्धः ततो याति परां गतिं तपस्विभ्योऽधिको योगी ज्ञानिभ्योऽपि मतोऽधिकः कर्मिभ्यश्चाधिको योगी तस्माद् योगी भवार्जुन योगिनामपि सर्वेषां मद्गतेनान्तरात्मना श्रद्धावान् भजते यो मां समे युक्ततमो मतः ॐ तत्सदिति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे आत्मसंयमयोगो नाम षष्ठोऽध्यायः।
Bhagavad Gita Arti.
Om Jaya Bhagavati
Maya Jaya Bhagavad Gita
Harihi Kamala
Vihari
Harihi Kamala Vihari Sundara Sukhaniti Om Jaya Bhagavad Gita कर्म सुमर्म प्रकाशिनी कामा सतिहरा मय्या कामा सतिहरा तत्त्वज्ञान विकाशिनी विद्या ब्रह्म परा ओम जय भगवत् गीते निश्चल भक्ति विदायिनी मय्या निर्मलमलहारी शरण रहस्य प्रदायिनी सब विदितकारी ओम जय भगवत् गीते सागर विष विहारिणी सदा मय्या कारुण्येन सदा भव भयहारिणी तारिणी परमानंद प्रदा ओम जय भगवत् गीते आसुर भाव नाशिनी मय्या नाशिनी तमरक्षिणी दैवी सद्गुणदायिनी हरिरसिका सजनी ओम जय भगवत् गीते समता त्याग सिखावनी हरिमुख की बानी मैया हरिमुख की बानी सकल शास्त्र की स्वामिनी, सकल शास्त्र की स्वामिनी, श्रुतियों की
की
रानी।
रानी।
ओम
ओम
जय
जय
भगवती
भगवद गीते।
दया
दया
सुधा
सुधा
बरसावनी, मातृ
मातृ
कृपा
कृपा
कीजिए,
कीजिए।
मैया
या
मातृ
मातृ
कृपा कीजिए। हरि प्रद प्रेम दान कर, हरि पद प्रेम दान कर, अपनो कर लीजिए।
जय।
ओम जय भगवती ते, ओम जय
जय
भगवती
भगवद
ते,
गीते।
मैया जय
मैया
भगवती
भगवद
ते।
गीते।
हरि कमल विहारी, हरि
कमल
कमल विहारी,
विहारी
सुंदर
सुंदर
सुपनीति।
ते।
ओम जय भगवती ते,
गीते।
ओम जय
ओम जय भगवद
भगवती ते, ओम जय
ओम जय भगवद
भगवती ते।
ओम
असतो मा
उमा
सत्कमया,
मय
तमसो मा
सोमा
ज्योतिर्गमया, मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते, पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
हरि
हरिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ।
ओम। Hari Om, thank you. So there was one comment in the chat about the world being round, so because of which the lokas are not quote unquote above and below, but are higher state or a lower state. Sure, yes, I think we can accept that and go by that.
Hi, Srini.
Hi.
Hi,
Hi,
excellent
Nipun.
satsang again. Thank you.
Thank
So, I had a doubt, maybe a naive one, regarding Shlok 46. So, from what I understand, that it says that the Dhyan Yoga is the superior one. But from what I understood from the previous chapter, it seemed like, I mean, Arjuna was wanting to exit from the Karma Yoga path, right? So, but Krishna was telling him that you have to first go through that. So is it to say that, I mean, first you have to get perfect in Karma Yoga and then go to this part? And if that is the case, then should we do meditation until we become perfect at Karma Yoga, or is it futile? So that's the confusion I had.
This is actually a wonderful question. Thank you, Nipun. Yeah, so actually there is a spiritual path. If you go back and see the notes, the spiritual path, and the spiritual path has a sequence to it, in which Karma Yoga precedes, Jnana Yoga and Dhyana Yoga. But also, if you remember, we talked about Karma Sannyasa, which means sannyasa, renunciation of Karma Yoga, right? Before getting into Dhyana Yoga. So yes, when you get into Dhyana Yoga, you are renunciating Karma Yoga, and it's also practical, right? When you are deep in meditation, where will you be doing Karma Yoga, right? So yes, in the progress through the spiritual quote unquote ladder, that is why Sanatana Dharma also prescribes stages of life, where once the responsibilities are over is when you are encouraged to get into the next stage in the spiritual ladder. That is true. So yes, when you go to the extent of Savikalpa Samadhi, even higher states of Nididhyasana, and then Savikalpa Samadhi and then Nirvikalpa Samadhi, it is practically not possible to have duties, Swadharma to be fulfilled, so that is true. And each one of us in some stage or course of our lives, the plural lives, will reach that stage. Everyone reaches that stage ultimately. But while we are in this state, what do? So that is why Bhagavan says that somebody who is there deep in the karma yoga state, right, where you have responsibilities, where you, so that their karma yoga is prescribed, and one should go deep into karma yoga and complete it. That is what Bhagavan says. Now, to the next part of your question, at that time, can you do meditation or no? I think absolutely yes. We should do meditation. Not that we get into meditation and forego all our duties, then it will not work. There will be interruptions. We talked about various types of interruptions. For one, that rankling that my duty is not done and I'm sitting eyes closed itself will not allow you to go into Savikalpa Samadhi, right? And if that also doesn't happen, then some other interruption which is beyond us will come, obviously when there are, then you have to complete those. But we can still practice, because the practice, Bhagavan told us this time, right? This practice will help us when we finally get into that stage where we, where we give sannyasa to karma yoga and move on. At that time, this practice will be useful. So yes, it is useful to do meditation even when you have duties to be fulfilled.
Cool. Thank you so much. Good answer.
Any other comments and thoughts? Sorry, today I took longer.
So the lesson we get from today's session, which was explained very nicely in a very appealing way, that is to be commitment. It induces commitment in us to become to gain yoga siddhi, purva abhyasa, develop efforts, perfect through many births. So we become committed to, in this birth itself, we develop that quality to gain, like Swami Vivekananda. That's what I feel. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, abhyasa. There are two tools Bhagavan talked about today, right? One is practice, which is abhyasa, and the other is dispassion, which is vairagya. So both are equally important. Not just abhyasa, also vairagya. Because practice with attachment to result is not going to be effective. So practice with vairagya, with dispassion. Abhyasa with dispassion, with vairagya. Both together are critical. Any other thought, questions, comments? Okay, if nothing else, then actually I will take it up in WhatsApp also. But one of the questions I had was, see, we did practice, we did a revision session for the initial aspects, the introductory aspects, and then chapter 1 and chapter 2. Now we have finished a section in Bhagavad Gita. Majority of the people, what would you like to do? Would you like to continue with chapter 7, or would you like to complete revision of the section 1, which is chapter 3, 4, 5, and 6? That's, if you can even text in the group what you would like, that will be helpful. And we will go with majority. Okay, thank you. Hari Om. We will commence next Saturday with one of the two, either revision or chapter 7, but looks like it will be revision. Thank you all. Hari Om.